Will property ever not be a great investment? Well, the answer is yes and no. So the reason I'm doing this video is there are so many people like, property's dead, buy to let is dead, this is not the time to be property, this is the end of property investment. And one day they might be right, who knows, but I can near guarantee unless you are on your last legs, sorry if you are by the way, then maybe they're right. Maybe they're right. If you're on your last legs, then yes, property could be a very bad investment. But over the long term, the answer is no. It will always be an amazing investment. Let me explain why. So property in general, or prices, has been measured since the Doomsday Book in 1086. So almost 1,000 years ago, give or take, you could buy all of the land in the UK. And this was from William the Conqueror, who decided, right, I want to know how much my assets are worth. So he got this sort of land survey done of what it's all worth. And you could buy pretty much everything for around £70,000. Not too shabby, right? That's everything in the UK. However, inflation has gone up a little bit since then, right? So fast forward today, the average purchase price of a property is around £310,000. Now, okay, inflation has played a part in that, but that is a drastic difference. So we've got almost 1,000 years of evidence, and whilst the past doesn't guarantee the future, I'd say that's a decent amount. How about this? There has never, ever, 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 ever been a 10-year period where property prices have gone down. Now, people, you can try and find one, by the way. You find the worst crisis there has ever been. Let's take the 1990s, by the way. Really, really shitty time for people, right? And yet, the 10-year period, property prices did not go down. Now, let's make it shorter horizons, because I think this is where you could make an argument that now, and when I say now, I mean now, a year from now, a year ago, 10 years, whatever, you can always make an argument when not to buy property. So let me take an example of today. Let's say I am buying property today. Well, we've got interest rates, not high by the way, but relatively high compared to what we've had over the last 5 to 10 years. At the moment, you can get a buy-to-let mortgage for about 5.44% at the time of filming this. And you could go, okay, well, cost of living crisis, people are struggling with their lives right now, completely agree. We've got COVID and still the backlash of that. We've got interesting characters in power around the world, or say no more there. So you could go, well, there is a chance that I could purchase a property today and 8 months from now, the property price could be a bit lower. And I think you could make a good argument for that, dependent on the area. Now, let me ask you this question, and just try this out. Let me know in the comments, and please put your answer here. If you are purchasing a boring vanilla buy-to-let property, when are you looking to sell it? Now, hopefully you've put your answer, and have a look at other people's answer. If you have put something like never, or I'm aiming to hand it to my kids, maybe 15 years, 20 years, then why would you care about the next 6 to 12 months? Now, this is where we need to look at it for what it is. I always say to people, if in doubt, zoom out. Okay, if in doubt, zoom out. Now, the reason I'm saying this is you're absolutely right. If you purchase property today, then interest rates are a bit higher, therefore your monthly cash flow is going to be lower, obviously. But you don't have a cash flow problem. If you've got 100K, 200K to invest, you don't have a cash flow problem. You've got a wealth preservation problem, right? So really you're looking to long term. So if you're thinking short term, like, oh, I was thinking about selling it a year, it's like, why would you do that? You've got the purchase costs, you've got fees, you've got brokers, solicitors, stamp duty, refurbishing the property. If you're purchasing a buy-to-let for the 1 year returns, there are better investments out there. Go outside of property, okay? However, if you are investing over a 10-year period, that's where it gets really interesting. So with my investors in Aspire Property Group, we typically aim to double somebody's investment over a 10-year period. So if somebody's got, let's say, 110,000, which is our average investor, over an 8 to 10-year period, we turn that net position into over 200,000. So we're getting 100%, or typically 105% return for our investors over that 10-year period. This is why I say, if in doubt, zoom out. I am so confident in this, by the way, that you could get to the peak of the market and by then, and over a 10-year period, I will still get you close to that 100% return. You think that's absolutely nuts, right? Well, it's not. We've proven it again and again and again. And I know people are going to go, yeah, well, let's see if that happens over the next 10-year period. Well, yeah, let's see. Let's call me out on it in 10 years' time. But again, I don't think it takes a genius to look at the economics of this over the long term. Now, do I know everything about economics and everything within it? No. What I do know is I doubt there's about to be a 10-year period now, considering the last 1,000 years of evidence, where property prices will go down. Now, let's go back to that example, because you might be thinking short term versus long term. If you are thinking short term, I really do mean this, don't get into property investment. It's just not for you. Now, let's think about the long term. Let's play today's game. At the time of filming, by the way, we're towards the end of 2023 right now. Interest rates, you could get a mortgage at 5.44%. Cost of living's just gone up again as of last week at the time of filming. It's inflation still stubbornly high, but it is going down. Interest rates kept the same, base rates, but it might be going up another 0.25, 0.5%. We'll see when the next announcement comes up. So that's an overall of the situation. Let's look, or just follow me through this journey a little bit. Okay, so when the interest rates are higher, it makes it harder to afford the monthly payments on a property. Not only is it the monthly payments that you'll struggle with, it's the fact that actually the stress test that the mortgage companies put on it. Now, does this impact investors? No, not really. It more impacts homeowners. But think about that logically. That then means there's going to be less demand for these available properties. And people go, oh my God, this is terrible. It's like, if I said to you, you can come into business and the amount of competition you have is incredibly low, and the long-term position from a security and wealth point of view is incredibly high, would you bitch and moan about it? No. Who starts a business and goes, hey, the chances of success in this are incredibly high, as close to guaranteed as you can get. It's a tangible investment. And by the way, there's less competition than there has been over the last 10 years. Who would moan about that, right? Now, there's two ways of approaching this, and one of them's a very newbie way to think about it, but I can understand people's short-term thinking, and one of them's a smart way to think about it. So one way is discounts. Get discount on property. Get 5 grand, get 10 grand off. Can you do that? Yes, but they are not going to be in the great areas. So this is a great opportunity for a short-term win. That's the newbie way of thinking of it. The smart way, the smart long-term player, the investor, thinks about the long term. And if you think about a 10-year period, that 5 grand, 10 grand discount means fuck all, means absolutely nothing. Look at the long term over 10 years. One of them is going to give you a 30, 35% return in terms of capital growth over that period, which is still great. And one of them is going to give you a 105% return. Which would you want? Now, here's what I'm going to say this line. Price is what you pay, value is what you get. And the same is true with property. I find investments for myself and my investors in high demand areas. Right now, in the areas we're going for, there's competition. Yes, we still want to get it at a competitive price. That does not mean a discount. All right. The best areas, you're not getting these crazy discounts. They are in very, very poor areas. So the reason why I'm saying that is to protect you a little bit. You're going to have people saying, I can get you 5 grand, 10 grand discount. That's great. It doesn't do anything for you in the long term. You need to be thinking about getting the best areas for your investments. By the way, if you're watching this and you're thinking, damn, I definitely have got the money, but I don't have the time or inclination, and you've got 100,000-ish or more to invest, we can help you build that portfolio in the right areas. So look, if you're looking for some get-rich-quick thing, this is definitely not for you. However, if you want to double your investment over a 10-year period and you've got the money to invest, put APG in the comments now. That stands for Aspire Property Group. Put APG in the comments right now, or I'll put a link, pin it to the top, and my team will show you how we can take your 100K and turn it into 200, or your 150, turn it into 300 over a 10-year period. This is an annual return of over 15% combined returns, and we can make that happen for you too. Now look, in the property market, especially in the UK, and this information is for the UK. I really want to use that as a caveat. We have this really strong, resilient system, and a huge part of it is the vacancy rates in the UK are incredibly high. To give you an idea, that's how many people are looking for employees. There's 900,000 jobs available right now in the UK. That's pretty huge at the time of filming this. So you don't really need to worry about mass unemployment in our country. Certainly not at the moment. You've also got the fact that we're this tiny little island and we're only allowed to build on about 6% of it. Just so you know, we only actually build on about 3% of the landmass that we've got. That's crazy, right? If you looked at a heat map of the whole of the UK, we build on hardly any of it. As I said, 97% of it is barely touched because there's only one thing as a nation we like bitching about more than the crazy house prices, and that is developers developing properties right outside our window. All right, so we have this catch-22 where we know that we need to build, but we don't do it anywhere near fast enough. Just so you've got an idea, there's around a 1 million unit housing shortage right now. That's 1 million people looking for a property that doesn't exist. When demand is like this and supply is like this, yes, you can look at macroeconomic factors such as interest rates, employment, all of that, and of course affordability. But ultimately, when there's that many people looking, what do you think happens to prices over the long term? They go up. And by the way, like I said, don't fucking listen to the newspapers, the media and that are selling fear, that want to get your money out of your hands. And that's the way the frenzy goes. Instead, like, yes, I've got a vested interest because I've got a property company, but don't listen to me. Look at the big players. Look at Lloyds Bank. What have they done? They've raised 100 billion to invest. They want to become the largest landlord in the UK. Surely that's got to be a conflict of interest, right? They want to own 50,000 units. 50,000 rental units by 2028. Look at Aviva, insurance company. Look at Legal and General, the pension company, right? In Leeds, there's a South Bank development, which is 320, 350. I'll double check. Football pitches length. It's the second largest residential development in Europe. And that is all owned by Legal and General. Guess what they're doing? Build to rent. All of the biggest players in the world, and certainly in our country, are investing heavily in property. Meanwhile, investing and pay, and by the way, this isn't just like conspiracy, look into it. All the same time, the same big, massive companies, billions behind it, are also paying for advertisements in newspapers, in magazines, to tell us, the everyday person, about the risks of investing in property. Don't you find that weird? That these big players that are buying everything, the banks that are lending money at the same time, guess for what? In property, are also the people pumping out the fear-mongering. I'll leave that down to you to have a look at that. But ultimately, property really comes down to the short-term thinker and the long-term thinker. The short-term thinker is worried about what property is going to do next week, next month, next 6 months, next year. The long-term thinker that's thinking about generational wealth. And by the way, when I'm saying generational wealth, I can't remember the book by Ed Milet. I think it's called like The One. It takes one person to change an entire bloodline. Think about that for a second. It takes one person to change an entire bloodline. If you look at all of the really successful billionaires, multimillionaires, all of that sort of thing, or families, if you go back, not royal family, if you go back through their heritage, the family tree, often most people go back to farmers and stuff like that back in the day. And it took one person in their family tree to completely shift everything. And I'm a big believer in property and the long-term investment, hence why I buy so many properties myself, that I can be the one person. My kids will be millionaires. My grandkids will be millionaires. And I don't know what age you're watching this at. Let me know in the comments, by the way. But here's what I would say. If you've got 5 years in you, if you've got 5 years, I would not give a shit about the economy. I would not care about what's going on. Now, obviously, you need to look after yourself financially. Okay, obviously, you need to cover your ass on this. But if you've got 5 years in that, you can change your family line forever. And what you need to be focusing on is getting assets in the best prime location, and that doesn't mean a glossy trophy off-plan apartment. In fact, stay away from them is my opinion. But if you want this long-term investment opportunity, then look for the best opportunities in your microeconomy. So instead of focusing on the economy, focus on your economy. And by the way, if you want to focus on your economy right now, but you don't have that experience, and maybe you just want a little bit of guidance, then we can help you. What we do at Aspire Property Group is we help people build their portfolios, and the way you can get access is put in APG, that's APG, Aspire Property Group, in the comments right now, or we'll put a link, we'll pin it to the top, fill in your details, and we look forward to having a one-to-one session. Hopefully this has been valuable for you. Let me know if it has. Make sure to hit that like button. By the way, if you're new to the channel and you just want to learn more about property, investing, mindset, and what we're doing at Aspire, make sure to hit that subscribe and the notification bell because you're not going to want to miss out on the up and coming videos.